Hi there, it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the UK. Thank you very much for joining me today. If you don't already subscribe, I would be thrilled if you would hit my subscribe button, which will be down in the bottom right hand corner throughout this video. If you are in the UK, do remember that you can buy any of the products that I'm showing you today from my online store, and there's a link in that below. I am hopping with the Stampers Showcase hop today. We have a theme of babies and children, and I've gone for more of a children theme than a babies theme, although my alternative colour scheme may be more babyish. But I have made this box. It doesn't look like anything particularly special until you open it up and you realise it has rather a special closure. So we have this extra flap and it just ties with the ribbon through the 3 holes. So I just think it's a really cute little box, and I've made this enormous tag because I wanted to use the Wish die cut. I'm using the Broadway Lights dies and the Broadway Birthday stamp set. This was a bundle in the last annual catalogue. It now is only available as 2 items. Always worth remembering that if you see a bundle that you want, get it while it is in the current catalogue so you save the 10%. Otherwise, you'll spend more later. Anyway, this is my boy version, and I'm using Blueberry Bushel with the foil from the Noble Peacock suite, which one of them is in Blueberry Bushel. So I've got Blueberry Bushel ribbon, Blueberry Bushel cards, ink, foil, and then I paired it with Whisper White and gold. For the version I'm going to make now, I am using Petal Pink, so this is going to be my girl version. And I'm going to use Very Vanilla because I think that goes really nicely. And I'm using the lovely Organdy Stripe, is it? Yes, Organdy Stripe ribbon, which is in Petal Pink. So it's all going to be very girly and very pink. Okay, so let's start with the box. I have done a little prep for some of the other things that I'm using, but not a huge amount, but just to speed things along a bit. So we're starting with a piece of coloured cardstock, and this is cut at 11 inches by 8 1/4. Now, if you're using International A4, you're cutting that tiny little strip off the side of your card, but you should cut it off. Don't assume you don't need to because it's such a small piece. Otherwise your box just won't work quite so well. So are we properly in shot? I think I'm going to go off the bottom, but at least if you can see the top, that's the main thing. So with our short edge at the top, score at 1/2 inch, 2 inches, and I'll give you the dimensions of the box in a moment, 6 1/4 inches, 7 3/4 inches, and then we're just going to put a little mark at 4 1/8. So just a little mark there. Then we're going to score at, it doesn't matter, well, it does sort of matter. So you want your little mark to be to the left when you pivot. So you're going anti-clockwise, and you're going to score at 3, 4 1/2, 7 1/2, and 9 inches. Now, if you've got 12-inch paper, you could actually make this longer, so it would meet in the middle, but I'm not bothered. I'll work out how much longer later. Okay, so the final box is 4 1/4 by 1 1/2 by 3 inches. So it's quite a nice size box. You could get quite a nice gift in there, some sweets, maybe a toy car for a boy, but a nice variety of things. So as ever with a box, we're going to start by burnishing our score lines. And so I do hope you, if you're joining me along the hop, I do hope you are enjoying your hop. If you are joining the hop with me, do go to my website, which is linked below. Not only will you find all the dimensions for this and all the score lines and stuff, you will also find the button for the next person along the way. So you can then hop along, which is always good fun. Right, okay. I'm hoping you can see this. Unfortunately, the sun is reflecting onto my camera screen. Not terribly helpful, but I've got a large pair of scissors and I'm going to cut the short edge, and I'm going to cut 2 panels. So I'm going the long panel and then the shorter panel and stop. And then I can cut that away. This is an arbitrary measurement, roughly in half, but it is fairly arbitrary. They're going to be what we're going to stick our box together with. So again, I need to trim that actually. Haven't done that very well. I didn't cut my score line away, which means it's not going to be terribly neat. So let's go back and do a better job. So basically, when I trim my boxes, I want the score line to be cut away from the finished piece. So turn our box again and cut straight so that the score line is to my right. And then over here, I'm going to have the score line to my left. And again, I'm going down 2 pieces and stop there. Get rid of that piece, get rid of that piece, and that's all I need my large scissors for. Then if I can find my, oh there they are right in front of me, find my small scissors. Okay, so we're going to trim away these little pieces here, and I'm going to leave those cut square on the short piece, and then this I'm just going to wedge out very slightly, and again I'm going to cut away the score line there. So the only score lines that should be left are the ones that are integral to the box. So straight and wedge. And wedge. And straight. Wedge. And we're not taking a huge wedge, we're just taking a little bit. It just helps the box go together better. Otherwise you can end up with it just not sitting quite square. So again, cut away the score line, wedge slightly, and wedge slightly. Okay. So get rid of those. So this is our basic box construction or box layout. I'm going to grab my corner rounder, and this is on the trio punch, and I'm going to round most of my corners. So around there and here. And again, you don't have to, but you do end up just with a nicer finish if you do. So again, I'm going to take my edges and round, so just fold in anything that gets in the way and punch. And the last side, and there we've got all our nice corners. Okay, right, now you'll remember that we made this mark. That is so that we've got somewhere to punch our hole. Now I'm using the now retired 1/8 circle punch, but any small circle punch will be fine. Or if you're brave, you can use your take a pick tool. So I've done my circle, then take your short flap and fold those so that they meet, and then you can come back in and pierce. A corner rounder is best rather than your take a pick. I say a corner rounder, a hole punch is best purely because you get a nicer finish. So yeah, that's really the only reason. Okay, so some adhesive, and I do like my liquid adhesive, and because I've got other things to do, like make the embellishment, I'm going to use liquid adhesive. I would normally use tear and tape in a video, but as I've got time for this to set, I'm not too worried. So I do like liquid adhesive for a box because it is a stronger adhesive. So we are taking, as ever, our fold and matching it with our cut edge, and just keep that together. It's going to want to pull apart to begin with, but don't worry too much. Then again, come up and meet our fold to our cut line, and tuck in these two flaps and fold to cut line, and then again fold to cut line. And then, before it's all set too hard, bone folder into the box and just press it down. I don't know how I'm going to show you that. I will press it down and then I will try and show you what I've done. So what I've done, if I open these up, is with this flat, obviously, I've just pushed that seam so that you get a good stick, if you like. And then I'm going to pop that to one side for the moment because I can now make up my topper. So I've got a piece of very vanilla cardstock, which is cut at 2 1/4 by 4 inches. And I'm taking the wish and the dots that go with the wish. Let me show you on the... So both the hooray and the wish have got dots that go with them. So I'm taking the wish and the dots. I'm going to start with the solid wish, and I'm going to grab my die because I can use that to help me position, because I want it kind of in the middle. So ink up your stamp and push and push and push, and I'm actually going to close my ink pad to give that more of a chance to switch the colour across. So now we've got our wish. It is on Very Vanilla, so it's slightly different colour, but that's fine. I'm going to waft that for a bit, round the corners while it's finishing drying. I'm only rounding the corners because what I'm sticking on has got rounded corners. Then embossing buddy, and don't need that anymore, so let's get rid of that. And Versamark ink onto my wish dots, and then grab this, and you do need quite a lot of embossing buddy to make sure that you have not got any wet bits of Petal Pink ink. Line up your dots with your word, press, don't go mad, just in case you have Versamark anywhere else on your stamp. And then grab your embossing powder, and I am using gold again. Copper might work. Yeah, you see, I didn't do a particularly good job with my embossing buddy, but we'll try and get this to work. So I'm going to do a big flick. Yeah, that's got rid of it. I had rather more embossing powder than I wanted on my stamped image because I hadn't allowed my ink to dry fully. Learn from my mistakes. Okay, trusty cheese board and my heat tool, and as ever you need to heat your heat tool up. Just trying to get rid of one or two more stray bits of embossing powder, and then heat emboss. Okay, so that just adds a little bit of something extra, so it just gives that nice shine, which I think just adds a little something. Now, I have already cut out my, or die cut I should say, my frame, and I've already stuck on the back and removed the backings some of the narrow foam strips. It's perfect for going around the outside of this, so I've done it already. Now the key to this is to get it central, which is easier said than done, particularly when there's a camera in the way. Okay. Yep. Goodie. Right, okay, so that will ultimately go on my box, so that will go on there. However, before we do that, I'm going to make the tag that goes with it. This is a piece of thick Very Vanilla, and I've cut it 2 inches wide and 6 inches long, and I'm using the new detailed topper, delightful topper. Oh, what's it called? I can't remember what it's called. I should know. Punches. Punches, punches. It is called the Delightful Tag Topper Punch. And it comes as part of a bundle, and I can't remember what it comes as part of a bundle with, but I will try and remember while we're working. Okay, so I've done my top. Then I've already die cut, and it's still in the die, the Wish. Just grab that. Now, I thought, after I'd done this, that actually you could use the negative as well, because if you keep the bits that go in here and actually cut it from a full sheet, you could have the Wish on top of some coloured cardstock, which would be quite fun. So I'm just going to grab my liquid adhesive. Now, if you've got some of the adhesive sheets that were in the last annual catalogue, they would be an alternative to doing this. What I would say is that you want to not get your adhesive too close to the edge, because the thing with foil is that once you've got adhesive on the edge, it's going to go in the middle, and you don't want that, because it will get onto your the front of your foil, which is not a good look. Right, of course, what I should have done is made sure that I could get it out first. So let me just pop that so that it's loose. There we go. So the W is separate, but let's pop that down, and then I've deliberately not put any adhesive on the dot for the eye yet, because otherwise it's going to be a nightmare to pick up. I know this because I did it the other way the last time. Okay, so I'm just actually going to grab some tweezers and pick it up slightly better than that. There we go. Right, so okay, and then from the back I'm going to press, because you're less likely to get stick going in the wrong direction, and then poke out my eye, or dot I suppose I should say, pick that up with my take-a-pick sticky end, and pop glue there, ready for the dot of my eye. And it actually goes, it's not a circle, it's an oval, very slight oval. And then again, press. There we go. So that is our tag. Now, I'm not going to cut it short yet because I'm also going to add, I've die cut again in the champagne. Sorry, did I say this was champagne foil? I don't think I did. This is champagne foil. And I happen to have had a piece that was, that had the adhesive sheet on the back. So I'm just popping that on and press from the back. And then I've got a gold flame to go on top, which I don't have any adhesive on the back of. So pop some of that down, grab my, take a pick, and pop that on there. And then once that is dry, or now, I can trim the end so that it's not quite so long, and grab my corner rounder again and just round those corners. And it just, oops, round the corners, not just chop a bit off. There we go. So that's our tag. So all we've got to do now is add our ribbon and then pop the topper on. I would suggest adding the ribbon before you put the topper on. So you want to come from the front of the box, into the box, back out of the box, and then, probably don't need quite that much, and then back out of the box again. And this ribbon goes through the hole really well. So, tie this in a bow. The trick is to try and get it so that the ribbon is actually straight on itself. So we're going to go. Now I always find it easier to tie the ribbons from the top. Don't ask me why, but I do. When I say the top, I mean, you know, from the loop end. It just means that I seem to end up with the, in most circumstances, it seems to mean that I end up with the tails pointing down. Of course, this is going to be the time when I prove myself wrong. I think I might sort that out later, because it's not ideal, but we'll trim the ends and then get rid of the rest. Now, I thought I would actually pop this up on some dimensionals, and I've got some edge bits that I can use. Always helps if you can find your snips. I just thought I would see what it looked like with dimensionals, which I didn't do on the blue version, but I thought I'd just see what this looked like. So, don't need a huge number. I mean, I know I've cut all of the edges, but that's because I kind of get into the flow of cutting the edges. And it's worth just remembering that you've got some shapes. So if you've got something that's got a point, if you like, then why not put the point in the corner? And then just peel those off. And the last one, don't need those, bring that back in, pop our wish on top of our box, and then ideally you want very vanilla twine, which we don't have, so I'm going to use, I was going to say I would use linen thread, except I don't seem to be able to find instantly. Oh, yes I can. Some linen thread. Some linen thread. And that is just going to go through And I'm looping it through the whole frame rather than through one of those holes, because looping it through the holes, oh actually I wanted it properly looped. Looping it through the holes, you're going to put quite a strain on that very narrow piece, whereas putting it through the whole frame, you've got more of a chance of it not buckling under the strain. And then just get your ends even and tie them in a knot. And I just think that goes better than white, because I think white will be a bit white. So yeah, if I show you what the white just looks very white. So there we go. So that's our girl version, and this is our blue version. Obviously I will, or our boy version I should say, obviously I'll retie the ribbon before doing photographs, but there you are. Two slightly different boxes. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and do go and have a look at the rest of the blog hop. There will be some amazing projects, because there are some very, very, very amazing people doing the hop. So please go and have a look. If you go to my website, which is linked below, there'll be links on there and you can just hop through. So thank you very much indeed for joining me. Do remember to subscribe if you haven't already. If you've enjoyed the project, please give it a thumbs up. And if you need any of these items, you're in the UK, I would be thrilled if you chose to shop with me. And do remember, extra, extra, we're getting into the last few days of the extra, extra promotion, where you can get an amazing deal on the starter kit. So thank you very much indeed. Oh, and don't forget, I'm doing product shares, so there'll be a link for that on my website as well. That's if you're in the UK. Thank you very much indeed, and I will see you again soon. Bye!